During this session today, we're going to be discussing the facility maintenance request forms. This is a new process that we're going to be doing online. It will begin September 1st of 2019. After September 1st of 2019, the paper maintenance request forms will no longer be accepted, so you do need to follow this process. We've tried to keep it quite simple. It is a two-step process as you go through this. In the training in Relias, you should also see a link for a handout called Facility Maintenance Request Procedures. I've got it on the screen right now. And so we're going to be just walking through this. Again, like we said, this is a two-step process. And so in this case here, I'm going to pretend like I am in the Erie region and I'm at the Colorado house. And I need to put in a maintenance request because the sink is backed up. And so the first thing we're going to do, if we look at step one, it says prior to opening a new facility maintenance request, verify that there is not currently an open request for the same issue for the facility. So in other words, what we want to do is make sure nobody else already opened up a maintenance request form to have the sink fixed already. And so to do this, we're going to open up the maintenance request by facility. So there's two different ways that we can do it. If you're in the group homes, you may see an icon on your desktop. It looks like Open Work Orders Erie. If you're in Warren or Ridgeway, again, it will look very similar except for, say, Warren or Ridgeway. The other way that you'll be able to do it is to go to LU, under Forms and Documentation, Facility Maintenance Requests. Here again, you'll see a link here. And so I'm going to go through and I'm going to look at the open maintenance requests. And I'm going to look to see if there's something open for Colorado already for the sink. Again, this is just going to open up those request forms that have not been completed yet. So I can see that already Colorado has one. So if I click on the arrow in front of it, I can see that this is about a bedroom move. Again, you're going to see some fake information in here for now. Once we go live on September 1st, this is all going to be cleared out. So right now, everything that I'm putting in is going to be for fake. So I can see that I do not have, or nobody else has opened up a ticket for the stopped up sink in the kitchen. So I'm going to go out from here. And now, if I go back to the documentation, step 2, I'm going to open up a facility maintenance request form. Just like what we used to do on paper, we're going to do the same basic information, except now we're going to do it on the computer. Again, I can use LU and go to LU. And go to facility maintenance requests. And again, you see here is the facility maintenance request form. Or again, if you have the shortcut on your desktop, maintenance request, I can double click on this. Again, either way, it takes you to the exact same location. And here is what should look very similar to the old paper request, except now it's going to be online. And so the first thing I'm going to do is say which region I'm in. So I'm going to click on the down arrow here and say this is in Erie. I'm going to select the facility. This is Colorado. The date and time of the request will fill in for you to the closest hour. So currently right now, today's date is August 6th of 2019. And it's going to be 1 o'clock here in just a little bit. So those 3 items here have to be filled out. If we look down through here, it's telling you that we also need to fill out, it's mandatory that we fill out the description and location and facility request. And then it gives here, if the request needs to be completed by a certain date and time. So let's look at that here again on the request form. The only time that I'm going to put a date and time in here is if there is an outside entity that is forcing that something be completed by a certain date and time. So let's say that an ISP for a consumer states that this consumer needs to be moved to a new facility and a new bedroom by a certain date and time, but that bedroom needs to be repainted prior to that consumer moving in. In that case there, we want to say, okay, it needs to be completed by a certain date and time so that the room is ready for that new consumer to be able to move into the new room. So in this case here, there's nothing that forces that says from outside entity that says that that kitchen sink has to be fixed by a certain date and time, so I'm not going to fill it in. So brief description of the request. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to say kitchen sink is backed up. Water will not drain. Location within the facility. Now again, here it may sound like in the description that I've already kind of stated that, but again, I want to put in here, this is in the kitchen. Just in case if a person puts the sink is backed up, water will not drain. Well, is that the sink that is in the bathroom A, bathroom B? Is it one that's down in the laundry room? So we want to be very specific as far as the location in the facility. Again, I'm looking down through here. I'm seeing that I have stars next to region, facility, date and time of the request, the description, location. The last thing I need to do is put my name with it. So the person making the request here. So I'm going to start typing in my name. And it's going to, let me actually, you guys cheat here. I'm going to pull up Carlin's name here. So the person making the request. Once it's done, you see that from this point down through, it says from here down through is to be completed by maintenance. All I've got to do is click on save. And that's all it takes to complete it. If there is something that's missing, then you're going to get an error message on that to tell you that you have some information that is missing within that. So that's all it takes to open up a facility maintenance request. Now, if you are the person that has opened up the maintenance request, you may wonder when that request is completed. You will receive an automated email. It looks something like this. And so after maintenance has fixed that sink, if you're the person that opened up the request, you'll get an email that will look like this. Again, it looks like it's coming from me. It's just coming from the system. But it's going to tell you the date and time that you opened the request, what the facility was, the location, what the description was, and then that it was completed, the date and time, or the date and who completed that request. So again, reviewing down through the handout that we had from today, it's a two-step process. First of all, check to make sure that there isn't already a link already or a request already opened for the same issue. If there's not, you're going to put in request. Make sure that you fill in the region, facility, date and time, brief description, location, and the person making the request. Again, optional is if there's an outside entity that is forcing that something needs to be done by a certain date and time, then we're going to fill in that and then click on save. A couple things to note. Only one item per request. So if you need to have the kitchen sink fixed and a light bulb changed in another room, those are two separate requests. Please don't put them on the same request. And then also, in order for maintenance to do a request, there needs to be a request form that has been submitted online for that request. So if one of the maintenance staff is there to unstop the kitchen sink, and that's when you say, oh, by the way, while you're here, can you change a light bulb? If time permits, if they have enough time, and if you go to the computer and put in the request form so that there's one that shows on the request form while they're there, then they'll be able to do it. However, if you have more than one request per maintenance request form, or if there is not one open, maintenance will not be able to take care of that item for you. So again, just make sure that you follow through. Check to make sure that there's not one that's already open. Then open one. Again, it only takes just a matter of a minute or so to open that up through. Make sure that there's only one request per item, and then anything that needs to be done, even if you think it's something small, make sure that you have that opened up. Now, let's talk about one exception to the rule. When do you have to open up a maintenance request line or form online? Always, with one exception. If it is something that deals with health, safety, welfare, imminent danger, or imminent damage, please pick up the phone and call the maintenance pager number first. And then while you're waiting for them to come, then please go into the computer and enter the form. But that's the only time that you need to call the pager number, is if there's something for health, safety, welfare, imminent danger, or imminent damage. That's the only time that you need to call the maintenance pager number, and they will then make sure that they dispatch somebody immediately for that. In the meantime, make sure that you go in through and enter one in through online, so that when they get there, that they have something to check off on it. If you have any questions, please make sure that you see your supervisor, and they'll be happy to answer those questions for you. Thank you, and have a good day.